Today I'm painting the Bloodseeker Minotaur from Massive Darkness. Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Hope you're having a good day. So this massive miniature from Massive Darkness is primed with leather brown from the Army Painter. Alright, so we start by dry brushing this miniature with some Kobold Skin from the Army Painter, and this is because that's why I wanted to use that leather brown underneath, because he's a very dark skin, but then I wanted the muscles to pop and some of the facial features and stuff like that, so I did a dry brushing everywhere I could on this miniature before I started painting the rest of it, so that when later on I put the wash on, it goes into the recesses, keeping some of the darkness and also bringing out the brights that I've already done in advance. So this miniature was interesting to do because it has a lot of nooks and crannies in between, and the way he's placed, it was hard to get the brush into certain areas, but I made it work and it turns out looking really nice. Hope you guys agree. And if you guys want, you can comment down below the type of miniatures you're working on, or if you have any suggestions for future miniatures or anything you'd like to see on the channel. And you can also join my Discord channel as well, which the link is in the description. Now I'm going to be moving on to this big set of hair that this Minotaur has, and I'm going to be using some troll claws. And it's an orangey yellow kind of color, and that's what he had in the artwork. So with the wash later on, it comes out exactly what I wanted, so it goes inside the recesses again and gives it the highlight of that yellow that comes out. Alright, now to do his little dress thingy, or his loincloth, I'm using some Orc Blood. You know what, this sometimes could be an effects paint because I find it's very watered down and very shiny, just like the actual glistening blood from the Army Painter. But I wanted this purple, not too bright, not too dark, just to have a little contrast to the colors on this guy, because he's very darkish, very brown, very mono-colored. So at least bringing out this purple made a difference in the miniature. Now we're going to be using a unique paint from Nolzur's Marvelous Pigments, and this is Underdark Grey, and this is from the Underdark paint set. So this is going on like all the straps, some of the belts he's holding up, just like some of the things that wraps around his arms and so on, just to also break apart the brownish colors. Now we're going to be using a metallics color from Army Painter, and this is Weapon Bronze. And this is going to be for all the chains and like the jewelry or bling that this guy is wearing. And like I mentioned before, there are some areas on this guy that it is hard to get to. That's why I wasn't using the handle anymore, because I have to hold them in specific ways. So I'm sorry if my hand gets in the way sometimes of the painting, but some big miniatures like this, you just got to work on it and get through it. Now another person I saw paint this guy actually was able to pop him off the base without breaking it or actually like cutting it, and then just re-glued him on after. I would have loved to be able to do that. I tried pulling him off, but I could have cut him, I guess, and then re-glued him, like did the basing and all that, and then re-glued him on. But yeah, no, he didn't want to come off. So I said, oh well, leaving him on there. Alright, now we're using another metallics paint, which is plate mail metal, and this is going to be for parts of his big axe, and I just wanted to do the edge of the axe, which I'm doing here, and then I'm going to use it later on as a different gray to do the other part of it, so because I didn't want the whole thing shining, I just wanted the edge to be like the shiny part of the axe. I also get a few of his jewelry or a few of his buckles, stuff like that, in this color as well. Now we're going to move on to a darker gray, which is Necromancer Cloak, and this is going to do his nose and this like lip that he has. And it's just the artwork, he had a bit of a darker muzzle, or I don't even know what you want to call this thing, the front end of the bull underneath his nose ring. And I also do his hooves, and I also do another strap as well with this color, just to get a little difference going on the miniature. Now taking another unique paint from the Nolzur's Marvelous Pigment paint set. This is from the Undead paint set, and it's Bleached Skull. And this of course is for his horns, and with the wash later on it comes out exactly the brownish or like lightish yellow color that this guy has on his horns. Alright, so this is where I come back and actually do the rest of his axe with this Field Grey, which is a war paint from Army Painter. And actually putting it on, I thought it was actually kind of green. So I was like, oh, is this gray or is it green? It's Field Grey. And the color shows gray, but whenever you start putting on, I notice it has like a green hue to it, so it's interesting, but it still turns out pretty good. Alright, now we're going to use some oak brown, and this is on the big leather strap around his left hand, just underneath also those like buckles and stuff like that. I just wanted to get a little something different, as well as some of like these leathery parts he has on that same arm. I didn't want to leave the leather brown there, of course, because it would match in too much with the skin. So again, I have to flip this guy around and do a whole bunch of like curves and stuff to get underneath in there, and this is where I do those other extra leather parts. And to finish off that arm brace leather armor is Rigid Brown from Zombicide Invader. This is a unique paint. So this is going to go like on the rest of it. It looks almost like a tree trunk he's wearing on his arm. I'm not even sure, and I think there might have been something protruding there. I don't know if I should have kept that same color, but anyways, it could have been like a piece of rock or metal sticking out of his arm. I have no clue. Now I completely forgot about this next part of the miniature, which was this like cord. Well, I thought it was a cord, then I realized, oh, I think it's his hair that's braided, so I used hemp rope. So it's a bit of a darker red, brownish, yellowish color. And I figured, you know what, maybe this is better because it's more in the shadows. I could have used that same troll claws as I did before, or even I could have highlighted after the troll claws and I completely forgot. Now I'm going to be using some rough iron, and this is going to go on some parts like you can see on the rest of his horn. It's going to do the thing in his nose. It's going to do a few other little jewelry things. There's like a bell hanging from his horn on the other side, a few earrings and stuff like that, and parts of the axe as well is going to be used with this rough iron. we're using another metallics paint, which is gunmetal, so it's a darker silver. It's not as shiny as like plate mail metal or shining silver. So this was perfect for this armor up here. I'm also going to add a little bit of weapon bronze on top of it afterwards for those like top buckles, and some rough iron as well on top. I think it's rough iron I use actually on everything on the top parts there. And I noticed here I forgot one of those rings, so I said, oh, you know what, I'm setting back out the other plate mail metal. I might as well just use this gun metal on this. Nice color for the armor. Now I wanted this Minotaur's eyes to pop, so I used some Royal Cloak. Beautiful blue color. As you can see, the eyes just pop out. Super nice. Now we're moving on to the washes, people. This is purple tone, and of course this is going to go over that Orc Blood just to give it a more purple look and to get inside the crevices of it to be able to do the highlighting part of it itself. The purple looks really nice on top of it. I could have put a dark and then the purple would have maybe came through still, but I like it like this. Now we're using a strong tone, and this is for the handle of his battle axe. I use it as well, I think, on some other parts of the miniature. It's a good tone. It's like a dark brown, and it gets really well into the wood grain really nicely. Now we're going to be using some flesh tone, or flesh wash, sorry, and this is for pretty much the entire miniature, including the horns as well as the hair, all the body, the skin, and you see that it gets really in there. I clean up as much as I can with the pooling, but it dries out really nice, and you'll see that in the end. Now I'm going to be using some dark tone, and this is to go over his battle axe, the silver parts, as well as a couple other little sections like that leather brace that he had on his arm. I went a little off camera here because I put the base back on to do some of the washes, and I forgot that the camera was still the same angle. And well, anyways, at least you kind of see what I'm doing. I get it on the gold as well, and the weapon bronze. Now, just to break the Army Painter spell here, I'm using some Citadel's Cryptek Armourshade gloss, and this goes over the armor. I come back later on and highlight it. So that's him, all painted up, ready to fight the heroes in massive darkness. I hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you all in the next one.